March 24, 1977. The lights dimmed. The crowd of 17,000 rose to their feet as the familiar opening chords of C.C. Rider echoed through the arena. Flashbulbs popped like fireflies, and a wave of electric energy rolled across the crowd. Elvis Presley stepped into the spotlight, his white jumpsuit gleaming under the beams, his eyes tired but warm, his smile just strong enough to hide the storm behind it. No one in the audience knew it yet, but this would be the night that would test him in ways he never expected, the night that would remind the world why he was called the King. He took the microphone and gave that trademark half grin. "Well, well, well, y'all look like trouble tonight," he said, earning laughter and cheers. The band picked up tempo, brass blaring, drums pounding, and for a moment it was 1956 all over again. The King was in his element. But behind the dazzling lights, behind that magnetic presence, Elvis was fighting pain, physical and emotional. The long tours had drained him, the sleepless nights, the medication, the loneliness. Yet here he was, giving everything to people who still believed in him. Halfway through the show, he began singing "You Gave Me a Mountain." His voice, deep and trembling with emotion, carried through the air like a prayer. The audience went silent. Every word cut through them, sharp and honest. He was singing about his life, about loss, exhaustion, and trying to climb one last hill. Even the band felt it. And then, from somewhere in the crowd, a voice cut through the stillness. "Elvis, you're washed up!" The words were cruel, venom in the middle of a sacred moment. The arena gasped. Security began scanning the stands. Elvis froze for a heartbeat. He could have ignored it, pretended it didn't happen. He could have smiled it off. But something inside him stirred. He lowered the microphone. His eyes searched the crowd, and in a calm, almost heartbreakingly gentle voice, he said, "Son, you might be right, but I'm still here, ain't I?" The room fell utterly silent. The band members stopped playing. Even the heckler didn't know what to say. Elvis took a deep breath, looked down at his trembling hands, then back at the audience. "You see," says, "people think this, all of this, is easy. They think the jumpsuits, the lights, the cheers, that's what it's all about. But let me tell you something." He placed a hand on his chest. "It's about heart. It's about showing up, even when it hurts." The crowd cheered, some even shouting, "We love you, Elvis!" He smiled faintly, eyes glistening. "And I love you too. That's why I'm still standing here." He signaled the band to start again, but instead of finishing "You Gave Me a Mountain," he began an impromptu version of "If I Can Dream." His voice cracked on the first line, but he didn't stop. He poured everything into that song, every heartbreak, every regret, every ounce of love he had left. The audience felt it deep in their bones. By the time he reached the final verse, there were tears across the crowd. Some fans were holding hands, others whispering prayers. It wasn't just a concert anymore. It was confession, redemption, and goodbye all at once. When the song ended, Elvis didn't bow. He just stood there, breathing heavily, sweat dripping down his forehead, staring out into the sea of faces. The heckler was gone. Maybe ashamed, maybe moved, but Elvis didn't care anymore. He leaned into the mic and whispered, "Never let anyone tell you you're finished. As long as you've got breath in your body, you keep singing." The band started "Can't Help Falling in Love." His voice was fragile but beautiful, like glass on the edge of breaking. The audience sang with him, thousands of voices rising as one. When he sang the final line, "Take my hand, take my whole life too," He closed his eyes, smiled faintly, and whispered, "Thank you." After the show, backstage was chaos. The Colonel was fuming about the heckler. The crew was tense, but Elvis sat quietly in his dressing room, a towel over his shoulders, his breathing heavy. His friend Charlie Hodge handed him water, but he didn't drink. "Elvis," Charlie said softly, "you didn't have to respond to that guy." Elvis looked up. "Charlie, that fella didn't insult me. He reminded me why I sang." Charlie frowned. "What do you mean?" Elvis leaned back in his chair. "People stop hurting when they stop feeling. That man's hurting, and he doesn't even know why. Maybe tonight he'll go home and think. Maybe he'll realize he didn't hate me, he hated himself." Charlie smiled sadly. "Only you would think that way, man." Elvis cletchered softly. "That's what Mama taught me. Don't fight darkness with darkness." He stood slowly, wincing up the pain in his legs, and looked into the mirror. For a moment, he didn't see the king of rock and roll. He saw a tired man who'd given everything to the world and was still giving. That night, long after the arena emptied, Elvis stayed behind. He sat on the stage, alone, under a single spotlight. He picked up a guitar and quietly hummed, "Always on My Mind." No cameras, no crowd, just a man and his truth. What nobody knew was that just months later, he would be gone. But that night in Indianapolis became a legend. The night Elvis faced the cruelest insult of his life and turned it into grace. And even decades later, fans who were there swear they felt something divine. Not just music, but spirit. The King had shown them what true strength looked like. Not in the fame, not in the applause, but in forgiveness.